Heartwarming journey. Baby puppy Ginger's incredible 7-second encounter with a hidden time-traveling veteran. Lily could feel the frenetic pulse of the diner as she wiped the counter anew. The sound of sizzling bacon mingling with the clamor of laughter from families settled around booths. It was a comforting yet chaotic symphony that overflowed into her thoughts. With a glance at her loyal puppy, Ginger, curled up tightly under her feet, she felt a bittersweet tug in her heart. This place, filled with boisterous voices and familiar faces, breathed life into her dream of being an artist. But it constantly reminded her of the security she sought for just the two of them. On an unusually crisp autumn afternoon, with leaves swirling like golden confetti, Lily took Ginger to the park, the one spot in town where worries momentarily faded. Just as they settled in, Ginger's boundless energy ignited. With one joyful yip, she shot off, her fur dancing in the wind as she raced toward an elderly man. Lily's heart dropped. Who was this stranger? In just 7 heartbeats. The world slowed around them as Ginger playfully nuzzled against Mr. Thompson's weathered hand, her innocence breaking through the veils of age he wore. The corners of his mouth turned upward, flickers of nostalgia igniting in his bright blue eyes. "You know," he began, voice raspy yet warm, "back when I was a boy, this park was the heart of our town. We all knew each other then." Suddenly, Lily was swept into a flood of memories. Days of backyard barbecues, friendly neighbors visiting with freshly baked pies, and a community that held together through thick and thin. Electricity buzzed with the realization that this was the vitality her town lost to the grinding wheels of progress and modern complexities. Lily felt comfort and despair in equal measure. For, as she listened to Mr. Thompson's stories of resilience and neighborly love, the shadows of an impending development project loomed on the horizon like a dark cloud threatening her dreams. The town she loved was teetering on the edge, torn between the uncomfortable need for advancement and the deep-rooted traditions they cherished. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the days edged closer to the town hall meeting, emotions simmered beneath the surface. Lily found herself at a crossroads. Should she fight for her dreams or protect the fabric of her community? The tension was palpable as neighbors exchanged whispers, divided over the choices ahead. A miscommunication spread through the air, threatening Lily's single-mothering support system, escalating panic within her heart. Then, in the midst of chaos, a startling revelation surfaced regarding Mr. Thompson's past, a hidden legacy that could transform their struggling town. Would it offer salvation, or would it unravel everything? With stakes high and emotions raw, Lily knew that her decisions may very well decide the future of her community and her family. As the town stood at a precipice, she noticed courage rising within herself. But would it be enough? The air felt thick with expectation as the night of the town hall meeting approached. Lily sat on the edge of her bed. The soft rise and fall of Ginger's breathing beside her echoing the anxiety fluttering in her stomach. The quiet of her small room was a sharp contrast to the clamorous thoughts racing through her mind. She turned her gaze to the window, where the streetlights flickered like weary stars against the darkening sky. "Maybe it's time to make a stand," she whispered, more to herself than to the sleeping puppy. The tension in the diner during the last few days had left scars on her spirit. Friends were arguing. Families were divided. She yearned for the closeness they once had, and Mr. Thompson's heartfelt tales suddenly felt weighty against her chest. The following day, she arrived at the park, the faint breeze carrying with it the scent of impending rain mingling with fallen leaves. Mr. Thompson was sitting on the same bench, a small stack of faded documents spread out before him, the light dancing across his wise features. "You came," he exclaimed, a genuine smile breaking through his furrowed brow. "I need to know more," Lily said, taking a seat beside him. His stories, rich with history, had ignited something inside her. "What do you remember about the town before it changed?" Mr. Thompson's eyes softened, unveiling a window to the past. He spoke of a community garden, where families would gather to nourish not just plants, but friendships. He talked about parades filled with laughter and how every holiday brought everyone together, strengthening their bond. Yet, as reality seeped into his words, she could tell he was grappling with the loss of it all. "But that's fading now," he sighed, a hint of resignation lacing his voice. "If we don't act, this new project will erase everything." "What if we fight?" she suggested, trembling with resolve. "There has to be a way to balance progress without forgetting who we are." His gaze sharpened with interest, and her heart raced. "You might be onto something," he murmured, his fingers tracing the outline of an old map. "This could be part of the legacy I left behind, a community revitalization plan I drafted years ago." Together, they pored over the pages, and Lily felt a spark of hope ignite within her. Ideas ebbed and flowed like the tide. They could merge modern needs with cherished traditions. More than just a project, it could be a movement. As dusk settled over the park, Lily felt the weight of her choices gathering around her. With Mr. Thompson's legacy in hand and determination surging through her veins, she knew they couldn't back down. But trepidation loomed. What if others didn't see the vision? In the following days, whispers of their plan began to circulate. A few embraced it eagerly, while others remained skeptical. At the crucial town hall meeting, emotions ran high. Faces painted with frustration and fear filled the room. As she took the stage, a lump formed in her throat. This was it. The moment she feared yet craved. Would she stand tall amid the storm of opposition? With Ginger by her side, she felt courage pour into her. She had to speak up for the future of their home. "Today, we face a choice between progress and community," she began, her voice unwavering. But just as she was about to share Mr. Thompson's hidden legacy, a loud knock echoed through the room. The heavy doors swung open, and everyone turned to see a figure standing in the doorway. "Wait," he shouted, and Lily's heart sank as she recognized the silhouette. It was someone she'd never expected to see here, and what he had to say could change everything. Would it be ruinous or redemptive? Lily's heart raced, a tempest of confusion swirling within her. The figure at the door cut through her focus like a blade. It was Danny, her old friend, once a bright presence in her life, now an echo of a friendship lost in the chaos of change. The room buzzed with whispers as Danny stepped in, eyes scanning the crowd before landing on her. Danny, what are you doing here? She managed, her voice shaky. Shock rippled through the crowd. Some faces softened, while others hardened in disapproval. I came to talk about the project, Danny announced loudly, his tone both urgent and defiant. You all deserve to know what's really happening. He moved closer. And there was an intensity in his eyes that both frightened and intrigued her. From where she stood, uncertainty gripped Lily. This meeting was meant to rally support, to unite the townsfolk against the impending changes. But now, with Danny in the spotlight, it felt like a storm was brewing. Danny, this isn't the time, she started, but he cut her off. Maybe it's exactly the time. Lily, people need to understand that the new development isn't just about progress. There are deeper stakes. Gasps filled the room, echoed by furrowed brows and skeptical glances. Danny took a deep breath, the weight of the room settling on his shoulders. The town council has been hiding things, bad things. You might think you're fighting for something good, but the truth is, this project could be catastrophic. What do you mean? Lily asked, the anger rising in her chest. Why was he here turning this into chaos? I mean, they've already accepted bribes. They plan to build a parking lot where the community garden used to be, a place central to our town spirit. They'll make money off it, and they don't care about what it will do to the families, to our heritage. The room erupted in a mix of disbelief and outrage. Faces turned toward Lily expectantly, seeking direction. Her mind raced. Was Danny telling the truth? The tension in her chest tightened as she remembered the conversations she'd overheard about financial mismanagement and backdoor dealings. She caught Mr. Thompson's gaze, his expression a blend of worry and anticipation. What do we do? She silently begged him. We have to shine a light on this, he replied softly, his voice steadying her. We must find the evidence he's talking about. If we don't, we're risking everything we've fought for. Lily felt the room shift under her feet, each person's heart beating as one, unified in a common cause. She grappled with disbelief as Danny continued to share the details, providing a chilling picture that tangled with hope. What if they could unite against this corruption and rebuild their community? Lily, your voice matters. A familiar voice nudged her from the crowd. It was Sarah, her childhood friend. You can give us a chance to fight back, but we need to do it together. The murmurs of agreement grew louder, filling the heavy atmosphere that now buzzed with a newfound energy. A collective determination surfaced, igniting the fire within Lily. In that moment, she realized she had an opportunity, not just to preserve her town, but to bring back the spirit they had all cherished. I will find out the truth, she declared, her voice louder as she stepped forward. Together, we can uncover what they're hiding and fight for our community. As she spoke, she felt Ginger nuzzle against her leg, grounding her in this whirlwind of emotions. The crowd erupted in applause, and a weary yet hopeful atmosphere settled over the room like a comforting blanket. But just as the momentum began to build, a somber voice broke through the excitement. What if they find out what you're planning? A man from the back shouted, voice trembling with fear. What if it puts you and everyone here at risk? The bittersweet edge of uncertainty chilled the air, and as all eyes turned cautiously toward her, Lily felt the gravity of the battle ahead set in. Would the fight she envisioned be worth the potential cost? Could she stand against those who would tear apart her home? With her heart racing, she realized something crucial. The fight for community was just beginning. But first, she needed answers. As the meeting began to settle, another knock echoed through the door, more forceful this time. What now? Who else could be so brazen? All eyes flickered with anticipation once again. And then the door creaked open to reveal someone entirely unexpected, someone who had their own secrets to unfold. Would they be friend or foe? The door swung open slowly, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows. As the light from the room spilled into the doorway, its glow illuminated the familiar face of a woman Lily had not seen in years. Clara, her childhood friend who had moved away during high school. Clara's eyes darted around the room, registering the tension hanging in the air. "Hi, everyone," she said hesitantly, raising a hand as if to soothe the crowd. I know this isn't the best time for a reunion, but I think I can help." Lily felt a surge of emotions. Clara's presence was a reminder of simpler times, but questions buzzed in her mind. Why was she back? Did she know something about the development? Help? How? Danny snapped, still fired up from his revelations. Clara stepped inside, her demeanor shifting to serious, as she pulled a folder from her bag. "I've been working on a project for school," she began, glancing between Lily and Danny, "and I ended up uncovering some documents about the council. There are connections I didn't even see before. I knew you all would be in trouble with this development, so I came to warn you." Now, the crowd was intrigued, murmurs filling the air as Clara laid the folder on the table. Revealing sketches, maps, and a timeline of events. Lily leaned closer, the hope in her chest fluttering. "What kind of documents?" Lily asked, her voice steadying. Clara flipped open the folder, revealing a series of photographs taken at odd hours, when the council members had met with unknown people, meetings, shady transactions. There's proof that they've been making deals in the dark. They are taking this town apart piece by piece. Gasps echoed around the room, and Lily felt the weight of hope and fear crash against her heart. They had the potential to expose the truth, but what would be the cost? Danny stepped forward, frowning as he studied the photos. "We need to make copies of these and gather more evidence. We have to bring it to the public." Lily nodded, urgency rushing through her. They had to act fast before the town was sold out from underneath them, but Clara hesitated. "We have to be careful. If they catch us..." Her voice trailed off as she caught the worried glances from the audience. "We can't let fear keep us quiet," Lily asserted, stronger this time. "This is our town, our home. We can fight back together." Cheers rang out again, but they were shadowed by an undercurrent of unease. The meeting had morphed into something larger than any of them had anticipated, and now it felt like they were all stepping into a dangerous game. With every heartbeat, Lily felt the risk tightening around them. Yet, the real question loomed in her mind. Could they survive the fallout from what they were about to unleash? As the room buzzed with plans, Ginger let out a tiny whimper, sensing the tension. Suddenly, the door creaked open further, and a figure stepped fully into the light. It was Mr. Thompson, his face grave. "We need to talk," he said, his voice low but firm. "There's something you all need to understand before you go any further." A hush fell over the room. What critical piece of information could he possibly have that could change everything? Lily's stomach knotted. She braced herself, knowing the stakes were rising, and the battle was just beginning. What is it? She asked, a mix of dread and determination flooding her veins. And as Mr. Thompson opened his mouth to speak, the answer would change everything. What truth lay ahead? What sacrifices would they have to make to protect their home? Mr. Thompson took a deep breath, shifting his weight as the intensity in the room thickened. The shadows deepened beneath his eyes, and Lily could see the conversation ahead contained an ominous gravity that made her skin prickle. The council isn't just after land, he said, his voice steady, yet tinged with urgency. They're manipulating people, too. You remember old Mr. Jensen, right? The man who runs the bakery. A couple of nods and murmurs of familiarity rippled through the room. He came to me a few weeks ago, distressed. He found a flyer tucked into his morning paper. It made all sorts of promises about funding for small businesses if he agreed to sign over his shop, promises that would disappear if he didn't comply. The implications of his words sank into Lily's gut like a lead weight. The council's web of deceit spread further than they had imagined. What did he do? Danny asked, his face tightening with concern. He refused. Mr. Thompson lowered his gaze momentarily, gathering himself as the crowd leaned in, breaths shallow. Since then, strange things have been happening at his shop. Delivery trucks keep getting cancelled. Products are going missing. Silent threats. A gasp escaped from Clara. That's awful. Why isn't anyone talking about this? Because they're afraid. Mr. Thompson looked around, meeting each pair of eyes. And, unfortunately, Mr. Jensen isn't the only one they're targeting. They've got plans to undermine anyone who stands in their way. If we want to fight back successfully, we need to gather proof. Not just for their underhanded dealings, but for the safety of the community. Lily felt steely resolve thread through her, entwined with the fear that pricked at her skin. This was a battle on all fronts, and they were standing at the edge abyss. What do we do? Clara chimed in, her voice trembling slightly. First, we need more evidence, Mr. Thompson stated. Map out who else they've targeted or threatened, figure out if others are being pushed to the edge. We need to protect our neighbors. Lily raised her hand, already feeling the adrenaline pooling in her veins. I can get in touch with everyone. We'll form a network, share stories, gather more witnesses, and keep an eye on the council members' movements. The more people we have, the stronger we'll be. Yes, Danny added, his eyes brightening with fervor. As they rallied around the idea of standing united, a flicker of hope ignited in the room. Though fear still lurked in their hearts, it was the kind of fear that fueled determination instead of paralysis. They began discussing neighborhoods, phone trees, and how to approach residents without invoking more threats. Ginger let out a tiny bark, as if picking up on their excitement, joyfully wagging her tail, reminding everyone that there was still a heart in this fight. But then, a thought crept into Lily's mind, quiet yet powerful. What if they cover up their tracks before we can find enough proof? Mr. Thompson's expression turned serious again. We need to work quickly, and we must be vigilant. Any slip could lead to disasters for those trying to fight back. Silence blanketed the group for a moment, as understanding washed over them. They were no longer just fighting for their homes. They were fighting for one another. As they began to prepare, a sense of purpose enveloped Lily, growing with every heartbeat. This was just the beginning. The stakes were as high as ever, and every moment counted. And just as she felt the solid ground of their plans, the phone in Clara's bag buzzed violently. Maybe it's news about the town hall meeting, she gasped, pulling it out. But when Clara looked at the screen, her expression drained of color. "What is it?" Lily asked, the room tightening with apprehension. With a shaky breath, Clara replied, "It's from my mom. She says something happened at the old park." What could possibly have happened there? The heart of their peaceful community, now looming like a shadow over their heads. Clara's phone buzzed again, snapping everyone's attention back to her. The room felt electric, filled with a mix of fear and uncertainty as Clara's fingers shook over the screen, her eyes darting wildly. "What does it say?" Danny urged, leaning closer. Clara bit her lip, her voice trembling as she read aloud. "Mom says something awful at the park." There was a gathering of council members. A fight broke out. People are hurt. A collective gasp escaped the group. Panic washed over Lily like a tidal wave. The park was where they always felt safe, where the kids played and families gathered. Now it was marred by violence. "What do you mean, hurt?" Clara pressed, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know. My mom just said she saw chaos, and she was scared," Clara stammered. Mr. Thompson's eyes narrowed. "We have to get there. Now, if they're trying to instill fear, we need to stand our ground." Ginger's ears perked up at the change in the tone of the group. Her small stature seemed to gather all the energy in the room, metaphorically charging the air with urgency. Lily felt her heart race. "I can drive us. Let's go." She felt a gnawing dread, but within the fear was an ember of determination. They rushed out of the room, rising out of the shadows like phoenixes ready to take flight. The cool night air struck them, and they piled into Lily's car, breaths coming fast and sharp. Each glance exchanged conveyed more than words could capture the weight of what they stood to protect and the fear of what may already be lost. As Lily sped down familiar streets, images of their town flickered past. Each house held memories, laughter, and the warmth of community. The park was just ahead, a prominent beacon that now threatened to shatter the tranquility they once knew. When they arrived, the scene was chaotic. The sound of shouting pierced the air. A few cars lined the narrow street, and a cluster of townsfolk huddled together, some crying, others arguing. "What happened?" Clara fassi pali. Suddenly, Lily spotted a figure in the midst of it all. "Wait, is that Mr. Jensen?" They rushed forward, weaving through the crowd. As they got closer, Lily's heart sank. Mr. Jensen was sitting on the ground with a bandage wrapped around his arm. Blood seeping through the cloth, his expression a mixture of shock and pain. "Mr. Jensen!" Clara called out, worry etched on her face. The elderly man looked up, his eyes narrowing to make sense of who was approaching. "Lily, Clara, what are you doing here?" His voice was faint. How did this happen? Lily felt the tremor in her chest threaten to break as the reality hit her. They tried to force me out at the park meeting. I wouldn't leave, and then... His words faded, overwhelmed with emotion. As panic swirled around them, the reality of their plight fused with urgency. They needed to help him and everyone else caught in this looming storm. "Let me help," Lily said, kneeling beside him, determined to mend what was breaking in their community, starting with him. But from behind, a voice boomed, drawing everyone's attention. Enough! This isn't over. Lily turned, and her eyes widened. One of the council members stood there, vitriol in his eyes, shadows stretching long and menacing against the moonlit backdrop. What was his next move? They needed to brace themselves, for the fight for their community was about to take an even darker turn. Would they be ready? The crowd began to shift, murmurs blending into an unsettling hum as the council member stepped forward. He was tall, with a sharp jaw and a face hardened by authority. Lily felt a tremor of fear shoot through her, but she stood her ground. "People are hurt, Mark," one of the townsfolk shouted, startling everyone into silence. "This isn't right." Lily squeezed Mr. Jensen's shoulder, feeling the warmth in his skin fade. "We can't let them intimidate us," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Mark's lips twisted into a cruel smile. "This is just the beginning. You think you can come here and stop us? We are doing what's necessary to take back control of this town." Control. The word danced around her head, heavy and menacing. Anger rose in her chest, burning away the fear. Clara glanced at Lily, her wide eyes searching for guidance. "Mr. Jensen needs help," Clara urged, panic edging back into her voice. "We can't just stand here. Someone call 911. Ginger piped up, thrusting her small hands into the air. The innocence of her actions brought a fleeting smile to Lily's face even amidst the chaos. "I'll do it," Danny said, sprinting towards a woman with a phone. His determination was a lifeline amidst the storm. With a plan forming in her mind, Lily knelt beside Mr. Jensen, careful not to apply pressure on his wounded arm. "Stay with us, okay? Help is coming." He nodded weakly, but Lily could see the worry in his eyes. Worry for the town, for the people around him. They all felt it. She had seen Mr. Jensen as a pillar of strength. The idea of him being vulnerable sent ripples of fear through her. "We have to do something," Clara whispered, her fingers twisting nervously at the fabric of her shirt. "We can't just let this happen." "Yeah," Ginger chimed in, voice brimming with tiny yet fierce courage. "We need to stand up for each other." "Together," Lily said, her heart beating rapidly. If community meant anything, it was that strength grew in numbers. "We need to gather everyone here. If we show we reunited, they can't scare us out of our own space." A few murmurs of agreement echoed through the crowd, a spark igniting in the gathering darkness. Just then, Clara jumped in. "I'll find more people." "There's strength in numbers." Lily held her breath. Was it really possible? She watched as Clara darted off, fear and strength combining into a whirlwind of resolve. "I'll stay with Mr. Jensen," she assured the elderly man, her eyes flickering over to the council member, whose gaze remained calculating and cold. He wasn't done. Lily felt it in her bones. Just then, another voice rang out. "What do you think you're doing?" Lily turned to see another council member advancing, a woman whose fierce demeanor matched that of Mark. The energy shifted again, a tension that seemed ready to snap. "We're protecting our home," Lily challenged, boldness bubbling up inside her. The sound of her own voice surprised her. A stirring in the pit of her stomach solidified her resolve. None of them had come here on their own. They had each other, a community with so much to lose. As more people gathered, drawn by Clara's fervor, Lily hoped that together they could reclaim their space. But, with the deepening shadows, she knew they were vying against time. She straightened up, catching a glimpse of Danny returning. a phone in hand, but as he ran back, something whispered in the air a warning they all felt. With anger in his eyes, Mark stepped closer. You really think this will end well for you? What was coming next? Lily couldn't shake the feeling that the true battle for their town was only beginning. Would they stand tall or crumble under the weight of intimidation? A chill swept through the crowd as Mark's threat lingered in the air. Lily could sense the energy shift, a mix of fear and defiance. Despite the tension, she spotted familiar faces emerging from the shadows, drawn by Clara Essie Cole to arms. They were packing in more people than she had anticipated. It felt like they were building a wall of solidarity. Mark, we're not backing down, Danny shouted, a fire igniting in his words. His voice rang out like a bell, and people around him began nodding, murmurs of agreement rising in volume. Little Ginger, her small hands now clenched into fists, paraded in front of Lily. Lily rested a hand on her shoulder. You're brave, Ginger. Every voice matters. With every second, she felt the hope swell within her. Perhaps they'd be silenced. She locked eyes with each person around her, connecting in shared understanding. The stakes were high, but so was their collective resolve. I was planning a picnic tomorrow, Clara chimed in as she returned breathless, flanked by a few more townsfolk. We should bring everyone together. We need to remind them why this town is worth fighting for. Yes, Ginger squealed, her fingers flailing excitedly. Picnic, Mark scoffed, crossing his arms. You think a picnic can save you? You're wasting your time. Maybe not, Clara countered, her voice stronger than before. You underestimate us. The air felt electric. Lily was awash with determination. The fight was shifting their way. She stepped forward, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Mark, every single person here has a reason to stand together. We're family. You think you can just bully your way into our lives. We will fight back. The crowd erupted into cheers. It wasn't just her voice now. It was the chorus of defiance from everyone present. A murmur rippled through, gaining volume like a gathering storm. Mark's expression hardened, his jaw clenched tight. You think this is a game. You're playing with fire. Maybe we are, Lily said, feeling the weight of her words. But you should know better than to underestimate what we are willing to lose. As she spoke, the reality struck her deep. It wasn't just the town at risk. It was their sense of belonging, their roots. They're scared, whispered a voice from the back, a shy teenager named Alex. But if we don't show them we're not afraid, nothing's going to change. Lily turned back to the crowd, drawing in a deep breath. Let's make a plan. We'll rally together, show them our strength. We need to put every resource we have into protecting our community. A cheer erupted as people began to talk among themselves, ideas starting to flow. Someone suggested signs. Another proposed alerts to the media. All around, resolve solidified into action. Suddenly, Mr. Jensen groaned softly. Lily's heart dropped. She knelt beside him, pressing her palm against his. Help's on the way. Stay with us. His gaze was soft, full of wisdom and care, like he was passing down a legacy of courage. She could see it in his eyes. They all had to be brave. Please, he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. Don't let them win. Lily nodded, a fierce determination igniting within her. they wouldn't let Mr. Jensen down. This was about far more than just a fight. It was for their history. As the crowd rallied, a familiar voice rang through the air. Clara's mother, a strong woman with unwavering spirit, stood atop a picnic table yelling for order. Let's unite. Let's show them we're more than just the sum of our fears. That declaration sent shivers racing down Lily's spine. Everything felt like it was poised on the cusp of something monumental. But as the crowd's energy built, a flicker of dread rippled through her. What would the council do in response to this show of unity? As silence fell briefly, all eyes turned to Mark, who stood at the edge of the circle, a predatory glint in his eyes. This isn't over yet. Lily sucked in a breath, the tension squeezing around her heart. She could feel what would happen next could change everything. The silence hung thick, a tangible weight in the cool evening air. Every heartbeat echoed like a war drum, and Lily's palms felt sweaty against the worn fabric of her jeans. She could feel the collective breaths of the crowd, a sea of anticipation mixed with anxiety. Mark stepped forward, his presence looming, and attention tightened like a noose. You think this is brave? You're just a bunch of desperate souls clinging to the past. He sneered, his voice low and sharp. Nice speeches won't save you. Lily's heart raced. How many times had they faced this man? How many times had they tried to reason with him, only to be met with stubbornness? She admired the grit in her friends' faces, the resolve. They were ready to battle. This was personal. I'm not desperate, Mark. I'm hopeful, someone in the crowd shouted, and the words caught fire. Cheers erupted. The atmosphere shifted once more, turning electric as resolve solidified into a force of its own. Clara jumped onto the table beside her mother, calling out, "We stand together. This isn't just our town, it's our future." There was something about the sight of Clara, so small yet fierce, that fueled the fire in Lily's chest. They were all strong, and together they could be unyielding. The crowd surged with a chorus of voices, each one adding to a narrative of resistance. Placards were hastily being written with colorful markers, while others shared ideas on how to bring together more allies, even unexpected ones. Little Ginger stood firm just in front of Lily, her face set with determination. "We should all wear matching shirts," she shouted, her innocent confidence infectious, "and bring cookies. Everyone loves cookies." Lily couldn't help but smile. Kids had a way of cutting through the seriousness of life with simple joy, reminding them of what they were fighting for. Yes, Ginger. Cookies and a united front. That's our plan. As the excitement pulsed through her, she noticed someone inching forward in the back. It was Alex. The shy teen had been hesitant, but now wore a determined expression as he took a stand behind Clara. He shouted, "We need to show them the truth. What they're doing is wrong." His shaky voice broke the barrier of uncertainty. A few people clapped, and it was enough to embolden him further. "We can invite the other towns, gather support. We'll make our voices heard." Lily felt a rush of pride wash over her as the crowd reinforced Alex's words with affirming shouts. Together, they were more than individuals. They were a movement, a bastion against despair. But then, as the excitement surged, so did the sense of urgency. In the distance, the flickering lights of government vehicles began to approach. Panic rippled through the crowd as people turned their heads. "Stay calm," Clara's mother urged. raising her arms in a calming gesture. They can't silence us if we're ready. The vehicles pulled up, and figures spilled out, some familiar and others menacing. Mark smirked, his expression taunting. Looks like we're going to have a party. Want to roll over, or do you plan on fighting tonight? Lily felt the air constrict again. She couldn't afford to falter, not now. She glanced at Ginger, the dogged youth around her, the elderly faces who'd fought for this place longer than she'd been alive. Remember what we fight for, she shouted, her voice rising above the noise. We are not afraid. Mark stepped forward, mockingly waving his hand. What a touching display. Desperation pulsed through her. This could turn into a clash emotionally and physically. The stakes were higher than they'd ever faced, and while hope flickered brightly, fear lingered just beyond reach. As the council members approached, Lily caught the glint of an unexpected ally stepping from the shadows, her own father. He stepped beside her, confusion and surprise etched on his face. Lily, he began, his voice low and steady, sending a shiver of warmth through her. Dad, I need you here, she whispered fiercely, suddenly realizing this was a pivotal moment, not just for the town, but for her family's bond. Could they really face this threat as one? Would they finally have the strength to stand tall against Mark? And then she realized, sometimes the greatest battles required more than mere words, they needed unity. As the crowd gathered tighter, she couldn't help but think, was this the moment they'd all been waiting for? What could happen next? As both sides prepared for an inevitable confrontation, would courage run deeper than fear? The atmosphere was electric, tension rising like steam from boiling water. Lily could feel the intensity pulsate through the crowd as her father stood beside her, a symbol of the past merging with the fight for their future. She glanced at the familiar faces around her, her friends, neighbors, and even the ones she barely knew but shared a bond with through the town's history. Heart racing, she sensed that this wasn't just about saving their homes. It was about building a community that could withstand anything. Mark stepped forward, his bravado apparent, but Lily felt a shift in the crowd, a newfound bravery and unity that had not been there before. We are here to protect our town. This is our home, she shouted, her voice cutting through the murmur of fear. The crowd responded with roars of agreement, a wave of defiance washing over the doubt. Danny moved up next to her, rallying the crowd, and the vibrations of strength echoed throughout. This is bigger than any one of us. We won't be silenced. His words ignited a fervor, sparking conversations about rallies, petitions, even potential legal action against the council. What's next, Mark? Will you keep bullying us into submission? Danny called out, his voice steady. Mark's smirk faltered. You really believe this will stop me? You don't have what it takes to fight the real battle. We do have what it takes. Clara chimed in, lifting the folder high, her voice ringing clear. Every secret you think is hidden is about to come to light, thanks to the strength of our community. Mr. Jensen, propped up by Clara, lifted his chin, determination blazing in his eyes. I won't be intimidated. This town raised me, and we will fight for everyone who feels powerless. His voice, though weak, carried the weight of generations. It was as if the very foundations of the town were rising up in unison, refusing to back down. Lily watched as more townsfolk arrived, merging into a surge of movement. They brought supplies, signs, and bold declarations of unity, preserve our past, secure our future. Popping up around the park. Each slogan was a shout of their refusal to let greed erase their history. Just then, the government vehicles parked haphazardly, their occupants stepping out like looming shadows. Many were hardened suits, faces expressionless as if ready to bulldoze dreams. But there was something else. Lily's heart skipped as she recognized the town planner among them. He had always been pragmatic, but something about his demeanor felt different. A small flame of hope flickered. "Lily," he called, stepping forward cautiously. "I've heard what's happening. This is going to escalate quickly. If you all keep pushing, it could get messy. What will you do?" Lily challenged, the fire in her voice unwavering. "I'm afraid my hands are tied," he admitted, "but I want to help. The development is harmful. I can guide you without repercussions." A wave of chatter rippled through the crowd, and Lily felt her heart leap. Perhaps they could leverage this shift. The planner's insight could help them gather facts and confront the true motives behind the council. "Can we trust him?" Danny whispered, eyes narrowing but curiosity flaring up. "We don't have to agree with everything," her father said, his eyes steady. "But we need to grab this opportunity. If there's a chance to turn the tide, we take it." That was it, an opening. A route that could lead them to uncovering the truth. With adrenaline coursing through her, Lily stepped forward, her voice steady yet strong. "Then let's come together. Let's unite our efforts. We won't let threats dictate our fate. We are all we need for this fight." As the crowd surged in agreement, a sense of purpose raced, knitting their resolve tighter than before. The council members inched back, their confident facade wavering under the insistence of a community determined not to be silenced. "Plan a meeting." Lily cried out, "We will speak to the public, share our stories. We will show this town what real strength looks like. And we'll do it together." Ginger bounced around, her tiny tail wagging, reinforcing the joy that even in darkness, hope prevails. Murmurs filled the air, excitement bubbling, as ideas exploded into action for the forthcoming days. The council members exchanged glances, irritation etched on their faces, but Lily felt invincible. Buoyed by the strength surrounding her, a community ignited by unity, driven by love and determined to reclaim their town. With visages of hope in their eyes, they began to move closer, gathering in determination. Carving a path together, they formed a line, ready to face whatever was thrown their way. "Let's make our future brighter," Lily whispered, a vibration of resolve echoing like music. And just like that, the tension transformed into something palpable. The shadows against the park didn't feel so menacing anymore. They had everything to fight for, and it felt like the dawn breaking on a new chapter. With her friends beside her and the laughter of the town enveloping them, Lily took a deep breath, knowing that they were ready. The fight for their community had just begun, and they would rise together. Now was the moment for the community to join hands in solidarity, proving that love conquers fear. And as the realization settled deep within her heart, Lily knew they would not back down. They were family. And they would protect what was rightfully theirs. You need to subscribe now to witness the truth about community and selflessness. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the spirit of hope. Comment your thoughts, reactions, and feelings about this incredible journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to rise in solidarity and fight for what matters. Don't wait, not even one more second. This is the moment to show your support.